Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
Test. 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 Testing. Testing. Test. 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 What? You don't get in touch with it. When I see them, it will come back. Yeah. I'll have to go up. Let me see. So, yeah. Okay, let me go put them out. Excuse me. Reginald, are you logged in? Where's Reginald? Are you logged into the conference? Yeah. Can you see me? Yes. I can see you on the conference. Okay. Okay. Because you're not going to need that. You're present here. Okay. So you want me to go ahead, sign up? Yeah. That's why I'm like, how are you on here? I see you there. But you can see me, right? Yeah, I can see you. Okay. Shawanda, I know you're online, logged in already. Can you hear me and see me? What's on the screen? Could you reply back under where it says questions? Yes, sir. Thank you, Shawanda. So does it sound, the volume sound okay? You can see everything? Yes, it does. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Because I know you're in Dallas. Let me see who else is there. Mr. Granados, or Gregory Smith, or Claudia Garcia. Could y'all reply back under the questions tab? Type in that you can hear and see me okay? Are y'all parking next door? Everybody coming in? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the security guard. I have to go over there real quick. Yes. Huh? Yeah, it's a security guard. I'm going over there now. Yes, I can see and hear you. Claudia, good morning. I can hear you okay. Do y'all see the screen, the sample CDA on your screen? Kimla, I see you're logged in. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Kimla. I shall return. No CDA screen. Oh, y'all don't see that. Yes, I can see the screen. Well, Maria can see it. Shawanda, you're not able to see the champions training sample on your screen. You got something that's probably not opened up because I got other agents that can see it. No, sir, just you. Or just me. No, I see it. Oscar just replied back that he can see it. So, Sharonda, there's something that you have to open up so you can because I'm sharing my screen here live with y'all. I shall be back. Okay, if I can ask y'all, everybody that's parked over here, we need to go park at Beeline. Remove the cars. That's the doors down. Sorry. Oh, where is one? Oh, yeah. Where? Oh, yeah. Lord have mercy.
Did that finish the job? Okay, all right. All right, go ahead. Okay. Hey, 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 what's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. What's going on with you? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah. Good, you going?
Yes, still she going.
Yes,
Sir.
it's been a while.
Huh?
It's been a while.
Since I've been here?
I've seen you.
Oh, I know.
You can be here, maybe I'm
You
somewhere.
miss me?
Huh?
You miss me?
I don't miss anybody unless you tell me. I say with you. I say with you.
Dollar bill. That's not a good thing.
I say listen
Enough
with
money
you.
more than you love people. Shame on you.
It depends on the amount you give me, I love you today.
In where? In where?
It depends on the amount of money I will love you today.
Oh, stipulations. Huh? You are funny.
Oh dear.
Thank you. Have
No, you don't. I got your phone. I got your phone. Oh, the number, I thought
I mean, you,
With the exception of disabled people. With the exception of disabled people, did everybody park at B-Live? I'm going to repeat myself again. If you did not park at B-Live, you need to go park there with the exception of disabled people. Okay? I sent out an email and told everybody last night to please park there. All right, I'm back here. Let me see what I've got
where is
here.
B-Line?
B-Live is just
And what is?
on the side.
Business?
Oh, B-Live is a club,
Ah.
but they're only open on, yeah, they're only open on Friday nights and Saturday
I
nights.
don't need to know.
Oh.
I'm coming out the club person. How would you know?
What's it?
Oh my God.
It's
I don't need to know.
he brings in a lot of artists there. Liberty.
Really?
Yeah.
Good artists?
This weekend was Rihanna.
Are you serious? I know. Why would she come to Richmond? Really?
Most of the artists go there. And then he charges a hefty cover charge.
Oh, really?
That's a lot of money.
I saw that. Let me go. Yeah.
Everybody like that?
I've been to the Philippines and traveled.
How about Mario? How's he doing? Mario, all right?
Yep.
There's some water here in the cooler if y'all wish. Should if it's not, you probably found out.
Oh,
See what's in the bottom.
oh.
I don't think that's on. I can't see that good.
We're expecting a large crowd here today and about 400 to 500 people online. So it's going to be a lot of people here today. Oh man, yeah, I see a lot of people. Mr. Martin Richard, can you hear and see me, and can you see the screen okay? Would you reply back on your questions tab, please? I'm talking to the remote people that can hear and see me. Now I have it now. Okay, Shawanda, you're good. We got people up in Dallas and San Antonio and in Austin jumping in on the webinar, which we like. Just 1, 2. Y'all can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really strange behind it. Y'all can hear me okay. Everybody's up on the screen. Martin, okay, yes, Renee and I are here. Okay, Martin, I got you. You look like a movie star. Thank you. I can see the questions on the webinar. They can ask questions and we can see exactly what they're replying back, so they can also participate in the Q&A. We'll probably have, what, before 10 o'clock, 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
Yeah, about 20 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Is it turned on? The bottom of the CPU?
That's still red. It's just me, I don't know if you know. It's me, I don't know.
Button.
Oh.
Huh? No, y'all, the participants here don't log into the webinar.
Oh, okay.
Everything's gonna be up on the screen.
No, we don't need this.
No, nobody needs, actually, Brianna does not want to see nobody on the CPUs when she starts the class. A lot of people are, you gotta be very careful, we gotta keep the noise, because what it is, this actual webcam right here picks up noise all the way to the back. So as people that are remote and all the people, all the 400 to 500 people logging in live, they're able to hear everything, except we have them muted out, so we can't hear them. So they only can ask Q&A, so. What's that? Is it turned on?
Yeah.
All right, well, reminder again, because we're going to have a tight class in here today, probably about 60 people. And we should fit 60, there's 60 seats in here, so we should fit everybody here. And then, of course, we have a couple of hundred people live on the webinar. For those, first of all, have I not met each and every one of you? And have I met everyone here before in the past? No, I've met you.
You know me?
I'm Ignacio.
Albert.
Oh, pleasure. I know for the amount of agents, we're nearly 2,200 agents. I don't sometimes have the opportunity to meet each and every one of you. And then I'm in and out all the time between meetings and between the other offices I run to back and forth. And, we run a tight schedule. I'm just going to try to get these 20 minutes and just fill you in real quick, those that are here already. So I apologize if I personally have not met you. I know a lot of people that sign up online. I really don't meet them until after fact or when they actually come to a meeting here or not. But what I will tell and say is that effective immediately, we're going to start holding these webinars at least twice a month, because we're going to a whole different platform. Today's training has nothing to do with the email that I sent out about a month ago or 3 weeks ago. We're changing our whole main homepage platform with homes.com. I'm going over and we're going to use WolfNet Technologies, which is a great website tool that's going to be hosted through them, because they can now integrate the 4 cities that I belong to: San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. So when you do a search, it's going to populate any of the listings in them 4 cities all into one website. So for your consumer or the public, they'll be able to search anything right there from that one platform. I've been looking for that solution for years and years and years. Homes.com had promised that. Actually, they sold it to me at a national conference that I was when I was in Washington. That yes, we delivered it. They showed it to me on a demo. So when it came down to the, okay, let me sign up with y'all, we got it up and running. We got our website when we changed over from the old one to this one that we currently have. It was stuck on the IDX. They could not deliver. I was really surprised and shocked that they sold me on a can of goods that they couldn't deliver. But we found WolfNet. WolfNet is actually state-of-the-art. They host a lot of national brand franchise websites. We're working on that. We're nearly, probably 2 to 3 weeks away to launch. So that's up and coming. Second thing also, we're going with a new platform. I know those of y'all love sure clothes like me. And I'm kidding, because I cannot stand sure clothes. I don't have to use it. I don't like it. The girls have to file my own files for me because it's just outdated. Sure clothes was actually designed from Stewart Title for the title industry. Then they sold it as a real estate package for transaction management. And we were the first company in Houston to launch it 5 years ago. Okay, we used it. We tried to get them to enhance all the tools. They decided they're not going to spend any more development resources to upgrade it. So their history for us, we've signed up with Back Agent. Now, a lot of agents that have joined our group already know the platform of Back Agent because a lot of Keller Williams groups used it. A lot of RE/MAX offices use it. There's a lot of companies nationwide that use Back Agent. I happen to know Eric, and actually when Neil was around, and his dad, for years and years and years, and we've been anticipating trying to launch and get on this product. However, back then, it was about $49.95 a month for you to use that platform. So that's why the Keller Williams used it, but because they were paying a monthly fee to that brokerage firm, and then they were also on 70-30 split. So they can afford to use Back Agent at $49.95 per month per agent. As big as we are for 2,200 agents paying $50 a month, that's a large bill. I couldn't afford to do that. I'd have to increase my fees, or we were going to have to pay for it one way or another. We're fortunate that we were able to negotiate a very, very reasonable price. Eric pretty much believed in us that we launched with champions of 2,200 agents. He really puts a big stamp on his name, and he can go sell his product to the brokers in this area. So it's a win-win for both sides. So we're fixing to launch that out. I think a lot of people, who has used Back Agent in the past? 1, 2. Did you like it? Did you like it? It's the awesome. And I'm sure now y'all came from Back Agent to sure clothes. It's sort of y'all went backwards. Yeah, so we're fixing to move forward. And believe me, in the last 2 or 3 months, their development team for Back Agent has really put on a lot of extra tools. Before I continue, I just want to remind everybody, I'm hoping, with the exception of the disabled people, please park at the VLI parking lot because we're going to have a full parking lot. And I appreciate that. So getting back with Back Agent, actually, we're in test mode right now. My account was set up, so we're getting staff. We're going to train the staff next. That's the next phase of that. And then we launch out the whole product. We'll have a single sign-on. That means from our new website to WhoopNet, the agent login. Once you log into that, you're going to automatically log into Back Agent. So we're going to have a single sign-on platform. They offer a lot of tools, a lot of products, a lot of marketing, the same thing with WhoopNet. So I think you'll enjoy the product that we're heading toward. So believe me, I've been working on this for about 5 years. It's not nothing that I try to reinvent the wheel and try to tweak and this and that. I go actively into the national convention, the state convention, the trade shows that we have here. I always see what's coming out. That's why one of the perks that I enjoy is being on the PAR board, on the TAR board and the NAR board, that I get invited to all these different expos throughout. So it really helps us. So that's where we're headed real quick. We still got, what, about 10 minutes?
Yes, I know that someone out there reported that they could hear you, but they couldn't see you. The reason
No, because I'm not
yeah,
standing.
he's not in front of the camera. So
I'll stand.
if you can hear him, here you go.
All right. It's because Martin made a comment that I look like a movie star, so I wanted to get away before they started asking me for my autograph. All right. I'll stand here. I was talking to the audience here that's actually live, and I want to thank everyone that's participating on the webinar. I think this is the way to go. You can get up right out from your bed in your pajamas, turn on your computer, and you're in the training class. So look forward to this. What's that?
But tell them to put on pajamas because I can see them.
Yeah. You got to understand, those of y'all that are on the webinar, I can actually see you. Even though you don't have a webcam, I can actually see you that you're in pajamas. Some didn't fix your head. I'm kidding. I'll probably have one of the agents right now go run to their bedroom and go change and comb their hair and everything. So anyway, like I was explaining to everyone here, we're going to a different direction. You're going to see a lot more and more training. Back agent is going to come in here. We're going to offer this training for a couple of weeks and also on weekends because we have a lot of agents that can't participate during the weekday. It's going to be on a weekend. It's also going to be recorded. So we're also going to put it on what they call podcasts. So everything that you're seeing from this point forward will be on a podcast, and it's also going to be embedded inside our internal website. That's another thing. You can attend in-house training. You can attend the webinar at the given time. It's being recorded, and you can see it at your leisure, at your time, once you log into our new website. It's not going to be on this website. A lot of people call and ask me, hey, I can't log into my current website now. Well, there's no login. So I don't know why I'm getting asked that, because we disabled that. That's why all the forms that you see are on the front end of the website, but the public can see them. Do I like that? No, but that's our only fix real quick that we can do. Bathrooms, those that have not been here, here for the first time, they're on the hallway, on the other side of this hallway here. The men's and women's bathrooms are here. And also there's some on the second floor. There's some cold water in the water cooler, help yourself, and there's some tap water bottles there. Room temperature, I'm sorry. Everybody did park at V-Live, correct? With the exception with the disabled people.
No, I need to move my car.
If you did not park out there and you parked here, yes, please. Because the question is, we are limited with space. When we moved in, it's been what, over a year and a half now? There was no other tenants. We moved in here and guess what? The landlord filled up the whole building. So he likes that. Problem is, the reason we wanted 60 seats is to have 60 agents come in at least at one given time. I'll turn the temperature down. I'll have to mess with it in a minute. So, Martin, oh, okay. We have a comedian on the webinar. His name is Martin Richard. Those are, in case of emergency, fire escapes, and must areas. No, Martin, from your house, I need you to jump from your second floor window, and people in here, they can just come out. We got 2 exits here. All right. If we still got enough seats, we may have to roll in some seats in here. We got another seat up here in the front. We got about 6-7 minutes left before we start. Any questions, suggestions, or ideas? Yes, sir.
What happens to the previous documents in the share close?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
He wants to know what happens to the previous documents in share close.
The previous documents.
Sure.
Oh, no, they're still there. Your files are still going to be there. Sure Close has agreed. They have to keep it, and you'll have access for 7 years. Your files are not going to transfer over to back agent. No. So you have to log into Sure Close. You always have access to them files for 7 years. I suggest make a copy of them and keep them on your personal files if you want them on with it. Okay. All right, any more seats? We got one. Okay, actually, someone sit there without seat or not. They can. We got one seat up here left. 4, 4, 4. We have one seat here. Raise your hand if there's a seat there. There's a seat there.
How long do you think the training and how you're open for back agents to
Worst case scenario, I do have a target date. Target date, July 1st to launch live. That's my target date. Between now and July, we're in the testing phase. We're starting to set up the staff accounts. Staff needs to come to training first, so they can understand it. There are a few files from there to make sure that we understand it. And then the month of June, we need to roll out all the agent training. We'll hold webinars. We'll hold in-session trainings. We're going to have weekend trainings. Because we are going to have to learn to go over sure codes into back end. But it's really, I don't know much about it yet, but it seems so easy for me because it takes you step by step by step. And I'm sure you and yourself, you're aware of how it works. We all come from that platform. So any suggestions or help how we need to roll this out, I greatly appreciate that because we're really ready to go this week. Okay. Yanita's going to pass a sign-in sheet. Place your name and your email address because the material here, we're going to email it to you so you can also have it. Okay? But the training today really focuses on the CDA and how to get approved because we're having a lot of issues with that right now. That's going to continue with back agent also. So you really got to understand what needs to be turned in, how it gets approved and done. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Adriana to take it from there. I'll be in and out. If after the session is over, if you have any questions, just feel free to stop by my office. I'm here. Thank you.
Everybody up there, how many participants? I told you how many.
Someone says they can't hear you.
If you can't hear me, those that are on the webinar, it's because your mic, your speakers are turned off. Unless you have to have enabled speakers on your PC or external speakers hooked onto your PC. Because we've tested this, everybody can hear you now. Okay, got it. Y'all should be able to see the screen, see the little small icon where you can see us live, whoever's sitting here on the podium, sitting here, and also sound is best when you are in front like you are now. Yes, Adriana will be standing here giving the class. I was just far away from the webcam. I'm going to turn it over to Adriana, and then she'll take it from there. Thank you. We have one seat right here.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for making the time to show up here live. I've got about, I don't know, 60-something people here in front of me. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for tuning in if you're watching online. My name is Adriana. Sorry for those of you that don't know me. I am the administrative broker for Champions and the broker record for Champions RE Group. My job is to be the police. I make sure that the files are complete, compliant. So yes, I'm the main one. Sorry. We're going to go over some housekeeping things really quickly. Most of you already know how to request a file. Yes? If you don't, raise your hand. Excellent. Everyone knows how to request a file. Everyone knows how to log into SureClose. Yes? No. If you don't, raise your hand so that I know. Okay. So we're going to cover how to request a file and how to log into SureClose very, very, very quickly. You don't have to write this down. You are going to get a cheat sheet. Okay? Behind the scenes. Okay. This is the side that they see. Yeah. Okay. Where's my, I'm going to tell you while someone here helps me. You're going to go to the Champions website. On the upper right-hand corner, there is Associate Tools. Under Associate Tools, you're going to click on Create File, and you're going to choose. There's 4 options there for you, okay? And you have Locator Service, you have Referral, Outgoing Referral, and you have Non-MLS, and you have a Sale or Purchase, okay? And what you're looking for is the purchase. Okay, that's the questionnaire that you're going to fill out. That's for right now until we go to back agent. Okay, so once those changes come up, then we will go over those. This is something new, sorry, is it? Okay, so Associate Tools, File Creation Request, drop menu, you have 4 options. Locator Service, that's if you're doing any locator service, whether it's residential or commercial. If it's a locator service for which you're not getting a copy of the contract, that's what you click. Outgoing Referrals, if you had a client, you couldn't service them, you sent them out to somebody else, this is the form that you would click. If you're doing rentals, a private lease from MLS, something listed by another Champions agent, by Keller Williams or anybody else, that's what you would click. Listings not on MLS. This is when you are the listing agent. You're taking a listing, and this particular listing is not going into Houston MLS. It's going into, say, San Antonio MLS, Austin MLS, Commercial Gateway, LoopNet, CoStar, something that doesn't go in Houston MLS, okay? That's what that's for. And then last but not least is the most important one that we're talking about today is the purchase sale transaction, okay? This will ask you for the most information, okay? Answer the questionnaire. To get through the questions, let's say it's a new home. It's not on MLS. So here, put non-MLS, right? Self-explanatory, kind of think it through. I get a lot of people call me and ask me about that. This is a cash deal, Adriana. It's asking me for lender company name. Type in cash deal. That makes sense to me. Contrary to what most people think, I actually do read the answers that you put in. So if you give me an answer, not, for example, the GF number, general file number for the title company. Of course, you don't know what the GF number is. Put not available yet. It makes sense to me. I don't need the GF number. The only reason I ask you for it is so that the title company can match up the CDA faster. That's how they work, so I try to make it easy for them, okay? Once you fill in this questionnaire, you hit submit, it's going to go to Roger. Roger's going to create your file. You'll get a notification your file has been created. Log in and upload your documents, okay? I'm not going to go into how to do SureClose. That's a whole separate class. We're here to focus on how to get your CDA approved, right? Within SureClose, there is a CDA. Questions so far? No, right? We're going to get the CDA on the screen. You need to focus on answering the gray boxes on your CDA. No, it says the 1111 on my road. Yes. This is what the CDA looks like. All I need you to answer is this. Your name, the address, the GF number if you have it, the name of the title company. If you can, put in the email address of the closer that you're working with. That way I can email that CDA to that person. Okay? Tell me what the price is and what the commission is, the commission rate. Okay? If it's a flat fee, many of you like to do promotional pricing and you do a flat fee of $3,000. So you would skip. See, it says skip if you're charging a flat fee, and you put the flat fee right there. Okay? So you don't have to do both. Do one or the other. If it doesn't apply, leave it blank, because then you mess with my formulas and then it doesn't calculate for me. Okay? You save this. Yes, you have a question?
I'm getting commission like 1% from 1.5% from the buyer, 1.5% from the seller.
Your commission rate is still going to be 3%, right? Okay. The question is, what if I'm getting 1.5% from the buyer and 1.5% from the seller? I don't care who pays you. Okay. All I need to know is how much you're getting paid. Okay. For you, it doesn't. You're willing to take commission from either the seller or the buyer, or the buyer's friend or the buyer's mom and dad or the seller's mom and dad. You just want to get paid. So I want to know what you're getting paid. I will figure out who's paying you based on the contract, and that's a whole separate thing that we'll look at. Everybody with me? Okay, great. So you will save this on your desktop. When you go to SureClose, the paperclip is already there. You click on the paperclip, your CDA is going to open up. You're going to customize it with your information, save it on your desktop, give it a name, give it your name, give it a property address, doesn't really matter, okay? And then you're going to reload that in the next space in SureClose, the one that says CDA filled in by agent. Put it in that space. Why? Because SureClose, if you notice, has a little envelope. When you put it in the right place, when you do that task, it'll let me know. Liberty has uploaded a CDA. And that gets to me and it lets me know that you've done that. If you put it somewhere else, if you put it under notes, and you put it anywhere other than that, I will never know. Okay? Question?
So we get this form after logging into SureClose?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
If we've
built
never
in.
done that, then somewhere along the way we'll be provided some instructions.
Yes. Okay. It's already built into the system. They're ready for you. It's a part of a template. Okay. You load that, it comes to me. When I get that request, we reply to you and we tell you we received your CDA. We tell you that it can take up to 5 business days. If you don't get that response by the next business day, you want to call in because something happened. There are glitches. Sometimes things will go into the spam box. I've rescued about at least 10 CDAs from the spam box because somebody sent in, if you utilize your email for some marketing, I boot you off of the CDA. So don't market to me. I will not buy anything from you. Not at the CDA email anyways. Okay, so that has happened. So again, if you don't get a response telling you, yes, we got your CDA, it can take up to 5 business days for us to approve it, call in, okay, and then we can look it up. So good, so far so good, right? Yes.
You say call in, who is in charge for the answer?
You're going to call in and say, I want to speak to someone in the CDA department. I requested a CDA. I have not gotten a response back yet. Okay. Now the CDA team is comprised of 3 to 4 people. I have Ruby. She's right here with me today. I have Sadie. I have Joe. And soon Dana will also be helping me. Okay. So don't look for a name. Just say CDA team because we are all working. We are all kind of working in an assembly line. Okay, I lead the team, so if you get any answer that you don't like, it's me. Don't call and be angry at Ruby. Don't call and be mean to Sadie. It's me. If they are telling you, it's because I said so.
Is that the best number to call in?
The 713-785-6666, that's it. Okay. Any questions so far? Great. Okay, so now let me show you. Can you pull up the okay. We're going to go into the, let's talk about the rules, okay? Let me go over some rules. If you are giving contributions, everybody knows how it works, right? If you take it as commission and then reroute that money to a buyer or to a seller or to anybody else that's a principal in the transaction, if it shows as commission, I will 1099 you for it. How you spend your money is up to you. TREC does allow you to share your commission with a principal of the transaction, but you have to account for it. Notice I'm saying you have to account for it. You don't have to pay taxes. I'm not saying that. I'm not the IRS. I don't care. The money doesn't come to me, but we do have to account for it. So whether you write it off as a marketing expense or rebate to buyer, whatever, you talk to your accountant, they will tell you. But if it shows on the settlement statement as commission, I will 1099 you for it. Okay? So having said that, if you're giving money away, you will have to sign off on this particular form. Okay? Saying that you understand that you're giving your money away and that there are some tax implications and that you will take some measures. What I recommend that you do is, I'm not saying 1099 your client. I'm saying take W-9 information. So should the IRS 3 years from now, because that's how long it takes them to audit you, to figure out they're working like 3 years behind, if they ask you, who did you give the money to? Well, I gave it to Fred Zayed, and this is his social security number, and this is the information that he gave me. Okay? I'm not saying 1099 him. I'm saying if the IRS asks, you're prepared. Okay? So I will ask you to sign this. I will ask everyone to sign this as part of the CDA process, because I have many people give money away and then they tell me I didn't know, and they get upset with me when they get 1099 for $50,000, out of which they gave away 25. Question.
The type of company already showed like 1.5 to your commission and 1.5 related to the buyer contribute to the closing costs.
Okay.
When you do this,
I'm going to look at one item and one item only. Okay. It may say on the settlement statement, and things are changing. The settlement statements look a little different than they have been in the past. I'm sure you guys have noticed. Okay. So the question is, if on the settlement statements it says 1.5% to the buyer, will you still 1099? I'm going to look at what it says paid to Champions. If it says Champions got 10 grand, I'm going to 1099 for 10 grand on that particular line. Even though somewhere else on the settlement statement it says that there was a gift from a realtor, that's paperwork. And let's talk about this. Let's think about this. When there's a $10,000 commission, let's say that the price of the house is $250,000, you got 10 grand in commission. I'm getting $175. You're getting the rest of it. And the buyer is getting the rest of it. Who do you think should account for that? Who do you think should deal with the burden of that paperwork and pay that CPA extra money to account for it? All together now? Everybody said the agent in case y'all didn't hear, okay? So, fair is fair. I'm going to look at one line. If it says Champions made 10 grand, that's what I'm accounting for. You choose to give it away, you deal with the burden. I used to offset it years ago. Yes, those of you that have been with me for 10 years now, you guys know that I used to offset it, but it became too much because too many of you were giving the money away. Okay, so it's okay, you can do it, but you're going to have to do paperwork for it. Okay, so that's one rule. The next rule, intermediary. At Champions, we like to reduce risk. There are so many of you and only one of me, one of Ignacio. Yes.
If I do like outside the state, 1099 to buy, 1099. It would have to
Say that one more time. If you give the money outside of closing, do you have to 1099 the client? I never said 1099 the client. I'm not going to be the one to tell you that. I don't know how that works. I'm not a tax professional.
no, I'm thinking you would have to
You don't have to put it on the CDA. No, again, you get 10 grand, you do with your money what you want. I like to go to DSW. You like to give it to your clients, that's okay. What you do with your money is up to you. Okay? Okay, at Champions, our listing agents, pay attention. Listing agents will not handle buyers directly. That's not a new rule. It's been this way ever since I came into power. Okay, it's always been the rule. It's always been my policy. You can't really effectively do 100% for a seller when you're also helping the buyer. Okay, you can't possibly do that. If you can, then you're really being impartial because you're not being pro one or another. And if I think of myself as a seller, why in the world would I pay you 6% to give me no help? I want you to go and like slaughter the other side. I want you to go and get me everything. I don't want you to be fair. I want you to take them out. Okay? I don't want you to do that. So we will appoint someone to assist you. Okay? Now, you will be doing a lot of the legwork. Okay? The fee for that agent right now is $500, a minimum of $500. You will pay transaction fee on the buyer side, transaction fee on the seller side. But that agent assigned to you will go through the warnings for that buyer. Importance of a home inspection, appraisals, water districts, all of the things that buyers should be conscious about as they're becoming homeowners and no longer renters or guests in their parents' home. Okay? That's not something that should come from the listing agent. We talked to them about CMAs. We talked about home warranties, things that you should try to negotiate. Okay, the goal of this person is not to kill your deal. The goal is to make sure that that buyer doesn't have the opportunity to say, oh, this listing agent didn't tell me that I could ask for a home warranty. Okay, this listing agent didn't tell me that I could ask for an inspection. I thought it was as is, where is, with all faults. Okay, that may very well be the case, but he can say no. Okay, so the person will do that, but you will draft the contract. The person is going to, the agent is going to talk with the buyer, give them all the warnings, and the buyer's going to say, this is what I want to offer. They're going to send you, the listing agent, an email, tell you they want to buy this much, close this time, finance, kind of a worksheet, so to speak. And if everything works, your client's okay with it, you, as a listing agent, will draft the whole packet. You will copy that agent that's assigned, and you will go secure signatures, go fetch checks, earnest monies, whatever needs to be done. Okay? Why? Because out of that 6% commission, you're going to get all of it. So let's work again with our $10,000 commission on a 6% listing. You're going to get 10 grand. They're going to get 500. The broker's going to get $300. Everybody gets the math on that? Raise your hand if you don't get the math. Okay.
Not the math, but you said the other agent will get $500?
$500.
The listing agent will get full commission.
Yes. Out of the 6% commission, let's just pretend that it's $10,000 total.
Right.
They will get 500. The broker will get transaction fee of 150 for the buyer side, transaction fee on the seller side, and the rest is for you, the listing agent.
Why I would think that the other agent is representing him?
They are assisting you. They are being a buffer. Okay? They are not going to do legwork. So don't call them and tell them, hey, are you going to go open the house for the inspector? Don't call them and say, are you going to go pick up the earnest money? Don't call them and say, hey, I need you to draft this amendment. Okay, they're going to talk. They're going to be your buffer. They're going to be a curtain so that you don't get burned. Okay, but you are doing the legwork. Question?
So does that work as that agent will email you the terms
Yes.
of the contract so that you're not directly asking
Yes.
the buyer?
Yes. The question is, will that agent, appointed agent, be emailing you the terms? Yes. That agent's going to be, let's say you are the listing agent. I call you and I say, hey, I want to buy this house. I don't have an agent. I don't need an agent because I am just, I'm good like that. Okay, no problem. Open it up. You show it to me. I say, I like it. I want to move forward. At that point, okay, because you're coming to me directly, I need you to go through some FYIs from another agent, another licensed agent. They're going to give you, it doesn't cost you anything, Miss Buyer, doesn't cost you anything. They're going to call you, give you some information, and then from there we can move forward if you still want to move forward. Okay, so now I am the agent, and I'm going to call the buyer and say, okay, inspections, this is what the property is worth. What offer do you want to make? They're going to tell me, I'm going to email it to you. If everything is kosher, you move forward. You can come back and say, no, you know what, the seller doesn't want to sell at that price. They need $2,000 more. We will talk about it between ourselves, but all we're doing is negotiating. Once it's negotiated, you're going to run with all the legwork, escorting, appointments, picking up, delivering, staying on top of things. Okay, we have a question. Cannot hear you. No. Prior to getting CDA paid from Champions, do I need to have a W-9 sent in? And where can I find a W-9? I'm going to try to figure out what you're asking me. I do need a W-9 from our agents before I ever pay you. And that should have been collected from you at the time that you signed up. If you have moved, changed your name, changed your social because someone stole your identity, I do need that new information. The W-9 is on our website under Associate Tools Forms. The blank W-9 is there. Our W-9 is also there. If you're sharing commission with another broker, then yes, I would need their W-9 in order to approve a CDA where you're splitting your commission with a referring broker. I hope that answers your question. Okay, sounds good. The broker will be the one appointing the agent. Okay, no, don't ask me if you can appoint your wife or your husband who is also in real estate. No, don't ask me if your friend can help you. Why? Because you are still in control. Okay, so we don't want, you may or may not be, but it can be construed that if your spouse or your friend is helping you, they have a bias. So we don't want to give that appearance. Okay, so the broker will always be the one to appoint. That was one of the questions online. This doesn't apply to lease transactions. This is only for sales. Question?
Yes. listing side, if someone calls the office or contacts us as a listing agent, like email or whatever, do we meet them as listing agents to show them how?
You can. The question is, if on a listing, they call the office and I get the phone call directly because I am the listing agent. Again, they're calling you. You have a duty to your seller to make the house available. So they're telling you, I don't have an agent. Fine, open it up. They may not even like it. Okay, so go ahead, open it, but don't get into any negotiations or any incentives at that point. Okay, question.
Yeah, we're going to get, so after sign the contract, then, for the inspection and everything, the other agent will take care of it?
Okay, the question is, once we do the inspections, the other agent will take care of it. What did I say? No, you are doing everything. You're getting most of the commission. You are doing any legwork, any visiting, any hiking, anything that has to be done, drafting documents, picking up documents, you will do it.
How can we do the negotiation after the inspection?
Okay, you're talking about repairs, negotiating repairs. The buyer, once they get that inspection report, they will be instructed to call that agent and say, hey, listen, I want to ask for these things to be repaired. And they will call you and tell you. They will do any negotiating. That's it. So yes, that takes care of it. Correct. They will stay informed in the loop at all times. Judy.
Is that always $500 or is that sometimes higher?
That is a minimum fee. Is it always $500? The fee is $500 standard. Okay, I expect that to take, if the agents are doing a good job and they're staying in control, it should take, minimal time. Okay, but sometimes we have buyers who are very, how do I say, high maintenance. They demand more. They want more. Okay, I had an agent keep me at a closing once about 10 years ago, 4 hours to close because she questioned every single line of the settlement statement. Okay, so no, I wouldn't be okay with $500. Okay, but that's something that will come up. If I'm the one helping you and the client is calling me every other day and saying, hey, I really don't feel comfortable with the other agent. I like you a lot, so can you go with me? Okay, the most that it would probably be is 1%. I would call you and say, hey, this buyer wants this. They want me to do this, that, and the other. Let's kind of negotiate something, okay? And the most that it would be would probably 1% if I have to settle it between the agents, but usually the agents settle it and they talk about it and it's understood. Question?
What if you're selling your own property? So you have your champion sign in your yard and you get a call off of that sign.
Nothing changes. The question is, what if it's my own home and I get a call off of that sign? If you are an agent here, everything you do comes back to us as the broker company. So that's even more risky for you. If you are the owner and then you are the agent and the buyer comes to you direct and they're dealing with you directly, and if your question is, can I do it? The answer is no. Why would you want to? It's very risky.
Right. You want to.
Absolutely. The rule still applies. You are the listing agent. Listing agents, whether they are owners or not, do not handle buyers directly.
Okay, but I can represent myself.
Absolutely. You can represent yourself.
But I had that broker.
Somebody else will have to look after the interest of that buyer. So there's no change to the rule. Everybody's with me, right?
How do they, what's the turnaround time? And how do they request?
The turnaround time for appointing an agent? When I get the call, I appoint someone almost immediately. Right here.
How do you appoint the other agent?
How do I appoint it? The question was, how do I appoint an agent? Just like that. You have to tell me. I'm not going to give you a name of a person. This is who you call, because we've done that in the past, and then it tends that things kind of get out of control. Here's the deal, guys. The appointed person, it's not an easy $500. Don't get it, like we say in the popular world, don't get it twisted. Don't get confused. Don't get it misconstrued. It is not a cake. It's a lot of responsibility. If you know me, you know what I expect. Okay? So I've had a number of people say, yes, I'll do it. Graciously have agreed to do it for the low fee of anywhere from $300 to $500. But they do the job not to my expectations. Nobody's signature here, including mine, is worth $500. So no, I don't want you to just sign off. An agent is not going to be able to just sign off and say, hey, I'm done. At closing, I collect 500. There is a job to be done. They actually look at it. So I only got a couple people who are currently meeting the standard. So it is only a couple of people. I'm open to getting more people in, but most of you don't want to do it. You guys are not like me, that I do everything that I do for 150 bucks. Okay? There's only a few people that are willing to do it. I had an agent who was willing to do it, but he got tired. He said, you know what, this is becoming too much. It is just too demanding. There's too much work to be done, and a lot of agents really don't know what they're doing. So I have to train them and babysit them and help them a lot more than what I'm getting. So having said that, yes, I pick them, I choose them because they are willing, and I know that they are going to apply my standard no matter what you say. No matter what the listing agent says, no matter how much you bully them or negotiate or how much you arm wrestle, they are not going to bend. Okay? Other questions? We had other questions back there. Marta.
Question about selling your own property. Can still be appointed an agent for a buyer and it still be the same thing, 500 to whatever?
If we're still in the same amount of work, yes. So the question is, if I'm the seller, will you still appoint an agent? Yes. Will it still be $500? Yes, assuming the minimal work. If it becomes a lot of work, or you as a seller say, you know what, I really don't want to talk to them at all. I really don't want to do any of work. I want you to do more, get involved more because I feel extra exposed because I am the owner. Negotiate with that person. Tell them, hey, I want you to do a little more. This is what I'm willing to pay you. Everything in real estate is, everybody, negotiable, in case you guys didn't hear. Question in the very back. No, again, on the screen, it says in highlighted, this does not apply to lease transactions. Yes, sir.
Majority of the complaints that they have, I think last time we talked about it, there was like 85 to 86% of the complaints that they have are related to the fact that the other party was not represented by another agent. And this is very inexpensive insurance that can protect you for second. You know, just the fact that the client is represented. Look at it.
Okay, the comment back there is from Mansour from Integrity. And what he's sharing with us is that when he has spoken with truck investigators, that the 86% of the complaints or investigations that they conduct is due to buyers not being properly represented or represented by another agent, okay? So those of you that are sellers, selling your own home, or listing agents who are helping someone else, his opinion is that $500 is a very cheap way to keep yourself out of trouble and you know, limit your exposure. So think of it as you, it's a good idea for you, but it's a great idea for me, and that's my role. So help me out and don't make me have to make the phone call and tell you that, hey, you're not in compliance. Way in the back.
Do we help the buyer with and listing agent with getting the information to their lender?
Do we, as listing agents, help the buyer get the information to the lender? If it means providing a copy of an amendment, sure, you can email that.
You should not be doing that. Can you say it louder, please? I say technically, I'm going to let's see if we can
Okay, so the comment was about, should we be helping the buyer with their loan? Again, if it's sharing documents that they should have anyway, yes, provide a copy of the amendment, a copy of the executed contract, that's all fine. Okay, but you as a listing agent should not be involved in private information. Even as a buyer's agent, I really don't want to handle their income tax returns, any private information that they have. They have a lender, they should have a direct connection, a direct relationship. I don't want to have to be responsible to guard information that isn't really mine. You with me? So in addition to that, there are rules. So stay abreast, stay, help with communication, but you're not really calling, hey, what's the status of that loan? Did they make enough money? You don't need to know that. Question here? Who writes the contract? Who writes the contract on an intermediary, on a situation where you are the listing agent and the buyer came to you direct and I appointed an agent? Once again, people, you as listing agent will do all the legwork and you will draft the contract. You will copy the buyer agent appointed to help you. They will send you an email with the terms, what the proposal is, but you will actually draft the contract. Okay? Over there, question.
If I were to see the case, somebody called me, the property, then I call the seller, the seller is paying the property. Now, the person, if they went inside again, they like, if they like the house and they start negotiating with the seller, I'm not going to be like.
The question is, if I have a listing and the seller opens the house and the buyer comes in and they start talking to each other, why would that happen? Okay, now, I'm going to ask you the question again. Why would that happen? Because you are not there. So be there.
I know, but I think if they start negotiating, I'm not going to be like.
How should you deal with it? I don't know, pray that your deal didn't just go south and that someone didn't just write you off. I mean, I don't know really honestly what to tell you for that. How do you keep that from happening? Be there. Okay? Don't make it available. I mean, there's sometimes situations that you can't help. A buyer's going to go and knock on somebody's door and say, hey, I see you have it on the market. I don't have an agent. Can you let me see it? People are bold like that. People are, gutsy like that. So no, you can't do anything about it. So educate your client. Listing agent, educate your client. Do not talk to buyers, Mr. Seller, because if you do, you could disclose something that puts you at a disadvantage. So let them know what your job is and ask them to let you do your job. If you do a good job at doing that, chances are, even if that person goes to knock on your seller's door and they open the door, they will know to zip it. Question, backpack, curly hair. I can't see that far back. Okay, so if you read the policy, you have to kind of keep in mind that sometimes the risk is not worth the money. Okay, if it's going to cost me $600 to fly down to Harlingen to see my son, you know what, and I'm going to be there just for one day, it might not be worth it. Okay, so if the exposure that you're putting yourself through is not worth the money that you're making, you may want to pass on that. Okay, think about it. Consider this as you need to consider the cost of doing business. So if it's going to cost you, I don't know, you sell this and it's going to, it's on the market for $100 and it's costing you $105, doesn't make sense, right? So if it costs you more to do it, then probably shouldn't do it at all. Maybe you want to always, when you take listings, don't go for a percentage, go for a flat fee, okay? Minimum cost of doing business, you need to cover yourself, cover your expenses first, okay? I know it's probably too late, you probably already did it, so in the future, it's not gonna happen to any of you that are listening online and those of you that are here. Think about it, if the commission is only gonna be $500 and you end up having, you're short, right? For me, the fee is $150. I don't care if the lot is $5,000. You're going to give me $150 because that's the risk involved. Okay. By the same token, on your leases, your rent could be $4,000 and you get $2,000. I still get $50 and you get a whole lot of money. You're always making as much as you would on a sale. So sometimes you end up with a short end of the stick. Sometimes you end up with a long one. So consider the cost of doing business for you before you take listings. Last question off of you. Okay, now let's talk again. Listen, read the policy and apply the policy. Listing agents may not handle buyers directly. So when you have a for sale by owner, you're representing a buyer. Can you talk to the seller directly? Absolutely. You do need to contend with the fact who's going to pay your commission. So document it. Don't sell for sale by owner. It was advertised. Get it on paper. Normally we get paid by virtue of listing agreements. And listing agents share their commission by virtue of page 9 of the 1 to 4 family contract. So if there is no listing agent, don't put it on page 9 that you're going to make 3% because there is no listing agent. Guess what? No one is going to pay you. So do a 2401, TAR 2401 broker's registration with owner. Okay, that's how you can secure your commission. You accomplish 2 things. You secure who's going to pay you and who you represent. You will always represent the prospect / buyer and the buyer only, or put it in the special provisions. Seller will at closing pay, selling agent X amount at closing. So if the deal happens, you get paid.
There's this question that comes about the attorney side.
Okay, if I am a listing agent and a buyer comes to me direct, but they have an attorney, do I need an appointed agent? No, you do not. Still call me. That attorney that's representing the buyer must be listed on the contract. Okay, check them out. Don't let someone tell you, oh yes, I have an attorney friend. The attorney friend could have been an attorney in the past and got disbarred. That's no good. Okay, it could be an attorney in another state. Do they have the ability to practice here? No, they don't. Okay, so attorneys in the state of Texas are exempt from having to have a license to practice real estate. Okay, so don't get the rule twisted. The rule says to do real estate, you need a license, except attorneys can practice real estate without a license. Do these attorneys get paid commission? No, they don't. They can get paid attorney fees, but they don't get a commission. Okay, they would be billing as attorneys. They're exempt from the rule of having a license, but they don't necessarily get a commission.
And who does the documents?
You do. The question is who will prepare the documents in this case where a buyer comes to me direct, but he's being advised by an attorney. Then you, listing agent, will get all of the commission, right? That's a 6% listing. You will pay transaction fee on the buyer side, transaction fee on the seller side, and the rest of the money is yours. Okay? You will prepare the contract. Clear as mud? Yes, ma'am. Hi, Renee. Say that one more time.
Like when the buyer comes to you and you know that you have the agent appointed to the champion, and then the buyer comes to you and
Whether the contract is executed, the contract is executed. It is what it is. Anybody can hire an attorney at any point. Okay, but if they are an attorney, what does that mean to you as a listing agent? Nothing. They have an attorney. It doesn't mean that you have to pay anything. It doesn't mean that you get paid any less. It doesn't change the contract. The contract is what the contract is once it's executed. So to answer the question, what happens if I get notified that they have an attorney after the contract is already done and you've appointed someone? Nothing happens. They have an attorney. That's all. Afam. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Go ahead with your question.
I just want to make a comment. With me, as far as I'm concerned, the other way it goes, you're more safe than wanting somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You're always safer, going with that appointed agent just because it keeps you out of the direct hit. Okay. Last question over here before we move on.
Say that if they have an attorney, it's already on the contract, they're represented by an attorney. If they don't put that on the example.
Right. Again, even if it's not on the contract when you first execute, that they have an attorney, either they have a buyer's agent from another company, or they have a buyer's agent appointed by champions, or they have an attorney. One of those 3. You, as a listing agent, will never, ever, ever, ever deal with a buyer directly. Why? Because I don't want you to get in trouble, because I don't want you to get me in trouble, because I want you to protect your buyer, I want you to protect your seller, and I want you to protect your license. Why? Because this is how I make a living. I assume that if you're here, this is how you make a living. So protect the people. It's $500. Last question.
Can you be buyer's agent and the lender?
The question is, can you be a lender and a buyer's agent? You mean you're like hard money lender? I don't know. You know, honestly, you have stopped me right now. I don't know if there's a problem with that. I will have to consult with my attorney. I honestly, I don't know. I think it's possible because you're making sure that your client gets a good deal because, you know, it's the property, it's your asset, it's your collateral. I could think it could be done, but I'm sure that there are some rules involved. So I'm going to have to consult with somebody else about that. Okay, guys.
There's certainly some disclosure involved in that.
Absolutely.
Commissions and fees and all those sides.
Right. Last question, Marta.
Just a quick question. Going back to the private information, you said that the listing cannot be contact the loan person. Okay, we follow up. If you working with an agent, but you don't get the information, I'm a listing agent. I mean, I got the right to follow up with the mortgage of the buyer, right?
I don't see how you have the right.
I'm asking.
What business is it of yours whether my loan is going good or not?
Yes.
You're the listing agent. Exactly. Well, it's none of your business. If I'm the buyer and you're the listing agent, you have no business at all calling Josue and asking him about my loan. None. Unless you have written authorization and I said, yeah, Marta, go ahead and call him. And I said, Josue, go ahead and tell her everything.
Okay, you're talking about the FILA 4 or just the?
I'm talking, generally speaking, you as a listing agent have no business calling my lender as a buyer and asking him how my loan is going. None.
The same thing. Every seller, selling agent now wants a pre-approval letter. They are getting all the information of the lender.
Again, you can call them, but if I find out that Josue told you anything about my loan that I didn't give him permission to tell you, somebody's going to be bleeding tonight. And it's not going to be me. I'm just saying, you know, you have to kind of walk the line. Come on, people. Privacy. Okay? You can call the buyer's agent and say, how is everything going okay? How's it looking? Okay? But no, you should not be calling the lender directly, and the lender should not be talking to you. If he does, I'm pretty sure he would be in trouble. Okay? You can talk facts. You can, hey, perhaps talking about a clear to close so that you can schedule a closing. But details about how my loan is going, private information, no, that should not be happening between listing agent or even the buyer's agent for that matter. The buyer's agent probably shouldn't be told anything either. Unless the buyer tells them directly, they shouldn't be asking those questions. Okay? What's that?
I answered.
Okay. All right. So intermediary, no listing agent can handle a buyer directly. If it's a for sale by owner, move forward with the 2401. Okay? TAR 2401, broker's registration with owner. Okay, so let's look at a contract. When you do your CDA and you send me your contract, this is your CDA, what it would look like. And this is what I'm looking for. Those of you that are here, this is a good time for you to start looking at your little checklist, okay? You guys online, you're going to get the packet if you didn't already get it. This is a checklist. This is a checklist that I go through with every one of your CDA requests, okay? And I do this so that I keep everybody on the same, I judge everyone by the same set of rules, okay? My girls use the same checklist, okay? Oh, I was like, is there a voice inside my head? Cecilia, can you ask Dayanita, I need some more checklist, please. Thank you. I love this microphone.
If I have a listing, okay, and if I want to buy
You know I'm going to bill you for this, right? Because I already told you this is the last question from you. Stop monopolizing my training.
if I have a listing, if I want to buy the same property,
Can somebody answer him? Because he's not been paying attention to my class. The question is, if I'm the listing agent through a listing agreement, and I have a buyer through, I am assuming,
I am the buyer.
oh, even worse, even worse. Oh, Jesus Christ.
On the line.
And I want to buy the house, my own listing.
See me after class. See me after class.
Yeah, see me after class. I don't think what I have to say about that can be said on camera. Yeah. Okay. So if you're looking at your checklist, I'm looking at the address. I'm looking at the house number, the street name, and who you are. Okay, so I have one seller and two seller. I have first buyer and second buyer. Okay. Block 1, Block 5, Best Property Estates in Houston, County of Harris, 1111 My Road Lane. Okay, these are all make-believe people. Okay, don't go look it up. Exclusions, if there's any exclusions, I do look page by page, line by line. Okay, if you tell me that this is going to be financed, I'm looking for a third-party financing addendum or a seller financing addendum, some kind of financing addendum. Okay, if you are a licensed holder and you have an interest, it used to be that you had to put it in the special provisions. With the new contract that came out in November of last year, you have to disclose it under paragraph 4. Okay? Title company. Okay, this is your first checkpoint stop right here. I look at the contract type, whether it's a new home, a resale, or a condo. That tells me what rules will apply. So if it's a new home, obviously, I'm not going to need a seller's disclosure. Okay, if it's a condo, I'm not going to need a separate HOA, although all condos are part of an HOA, it's not a separate form. Okay, so I need you to use your spidey agent senses and make sense of that. Those are things that you should know as a licensee. Okay, so my first stop right here is paragraph 6, A, number 8. This question gets skipped very often. I need you to answer the question. Okay, so the question is, it will or will not be amended. Okay, so the first one is will not. If it will not be amended, guess what? Nothing happens. The rest of the sentence doesn't matter. If you said that it will be amended right here, then you need to determine who is going to pay for that. You need to tell me the buyer or the seller. Okay, what is this? Why do we need to answer the question? Before, it used to be that if there was any discrepancies with survey, with any encroachments, the buyer could, if he wanted to, get the additional coverage. The buyer could, at his own expense, get that additional coverage. No option as to whether he will or will not. No option as to who's going to pay for it. Okay, so now we have an option. Okay, what is the cost? Generally speaking, I've been told that the cost of this is about 8 to 10% of the title policy premium. So if we're talking $215,000 purchase price, that means that the title policy will be around 1%. That's around $2,200, 8 to 10% of that. So it's relatively inexpensive. Okay, so I think of this as your uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage, but for your property. Okay, I really don't care which way you go. I just want you to answer the question. Don't leave it blank. Because if there is a problem and you realize that later on down the road and the title company tells you there's a problem, well, I don't want to buy it if it has a problem. Well, I don't want to pay for it to pay the coverage. So talk about it right now, right here up front, because you know about it because it's in your contract. Okay, don't skip it. Paragraph 6A, 8. It's on your checklist.
On these checklists, are these fillable forms to where we just type it in?
No, you don't need to do this. I'm sharing this. I'm giving you the cheat sheet. I'm giving you the rubric. Okay? This is for you to judge your own self before I go through your file. Okay?
So this is for internal purposes.
This is just to help you out. Okay? If you check yourself before it gets to me, hopefully I can get you an approval on the first go. And that's the goal here, to get you approved on the first review. Okay, on average, if I get 30 CDAs a day, on average, I can do first-time approvals for less than 5. I know. I don't know if Stuart's out there, but Stuart was, I think, the first one. Stuart Scholler was the first one that I was able to approve on the first go. So if you're out there, props to you. Okay. the CDAs, when you guys turn in CDAs, I get about 30 a day, 30 requests for CDA approvals. Only about 5 of those are approvable on the first review. That means that always someone has something or another thing wrong. Okay? All right. My next stop point to check here is paragraph 7, the seller's disclosure. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ruby. At the bottom of page 2, see, that's why I have it here. Right here, I'm looking at HOA. Is the property in an HOA or not? If it is, then I want you to use the addendum that says property subject to mandatory HOA. Okay, use it. I know that somewhere in the contract it says that if the buyer is concerned about these, you should use this form. If you are a Champions agent and you represent the buyer, guess what? You are concerned and you want to talk about it. Why? Because there may be some fees that your buyer's not thinking about or that you forgot to tell them about. And when it comes to closing and they realize that it's like $1,000 plus, they might say, hold on, I don't think I want to pay for this. So you need to know that information. An HOA can foreclose on your house, so they need to know that information. Okay?
What about the survey?
What about it?
Like, if you already have survey on the
Answer the question.
And they will say like, no, we have received the survey. On the survey, say that we have received the survey for him. But if the survey is on the MLS, there's no such thing.
You're going to get yourself evicted from my training. Okay? Answer the questions. The survey, if they have it, whatever you put, I really don't swing one way or another. Will I check whether you check the boxes? Yes, I will check. Okay, I'm stopping at places where it requires an additional form. The survey does not require an additional form. That's why I didn't stop. You guys are licensed agents. You pass the test. Most of you have been an agent at least 2 years. Anybody here been an agent less than 1 year? None of you here. Oh, okay. I know about you, but you know because your wife has been an agent for like forever. So you know better, right? Every blank should be filled. Every question should be answered. If it doesn't apply, say NA does not apply. Okay? So yes, with regards to the survey, yes, I want you to notice that I did. I see I put check mark within 3 days. I want a copy of your survey. And if your survey doesn't satisfy my lender or my title company, I want you to buy me a new one. If we already know that there is not one, then we would say one or the other, 2 or 3. The buyer will buy a new one or the seller will buy a new one. Answer the question. That's really all that we're looking for. Next stop is going to be the seller's disclosure. Either you have it or you're going to get it within 3 days or it doesn't apply. If you say you have it, I expect you to have it. If you say you will get it, I expect you to get it and have it by the time you request a CDA from me. If it doesn't apply, I do need to know under what exception you fall. An investor who bought the house at the bank, at the courthouse steps, rehabbed it, and now is selling it, is not exempt from the seller's disclosure. Okay, a trustee who is executing a will and selling a property to liquidate and split the funds between 3 heirs, yes, he is exempt. Okay, so for your convenience, I'm going to email you this list of exemptions. You can look it up online yourself. It's Texas Property Code 5.008. Okay, and the exceptions include, this section does not apply to a transfer pursuant to a court order in a foreclosure. So if a bank foreclosed and he's selling the house to you, Bank of America is selling the house to your client, they don't need to give you a seller's disclosure. A trustee in a bankruptcy, to a mortgagee by a mortgagor or successor in interest, or to a beneficiary of a deed of trust by trust or successor in interest. By a mortgagee or beneficiary under deed of trust who has acquired the real property at a sale conducted pursuant to a power of sale under deed of trust. That's like at the steps of the courthouse, okay? From one co-owner to another co-owner, okay? A husband and wife who had split up, got divorced, and one's out buying the other. No, they don't need to do a seller's disclosure. Made to a spouse or to a person or persons in the lineal line of consanguinity, bloodline. My English is not very good looking, sorry. Of one or more of the transfers, between spouses resulting from a decree or of dissolution of marriage or a decree from a property settlement agreement incidental to such decree, to or from any government entity, HUD, VA, Okay, you don't have to do a seller's disclosure, of a new residence of not more than one dwelling unit under which has not previously been occupied for residential purposes, or of a real property where the value of any dwelling does not exceed 5% of the value of the property. Okay, clear as mud? Okay, so I have an investor, or I have a guy who's never owned the property, he's always rented it, he bought it he's not exempt. Okay, so let's say that your buyer wants to buy it anyway. The seller's required to give you one. He says, I don't have one, I'm not going to give you one. That's okay. Your buyer can buy it, but I will ask you to have them sign a waiver saying that I'm making an informed choice, that although I am entitled to one, they don't want to give me one, I want to buy it anyway. So that they can't come to you and say that you didn't protect them. Okay, and you will also get that waiver form as part of this training. Moving on. Any questions so far? Good. Next up, I'm going to talk about this just because it's here. Acceptance of the property. You will either say the property is accepted as is or pending the following repairs. This is based on what you knew at the time of execution. So what I like to use, especially when the house is occupied, I like to say room clean condition, patch and match paint all nail, screw, and bracket holes free of FTD. FTD, F as in Frank, TD. Furniture, trash, and debris. Okay? So if the house is occupied, I expect people to move out. When they take off their pictures, there's going to be all kinds of holes. If they had TVs mounted on the wall, there's going to be holes of the brackets and things like that. So I want them to fix it, and I want that negotiated up front right here, right now. Bless you. Okay? I also want them to take everything that they own with them. Don't leave me the old shelves in the garage that you don't want, that if you move them, they fall apart because they came from IKEA. Okay? So take your trash with you. Okay? Yes.
Are you going to give us a copy of
Yes.
okay. Yes.
Say again? You're going to get a copy of everything that you're looking on the screen. Everything I show you on the screen, you're going to get. Okay? So that's just something I do, especially when houses are occupied. Okay? Because I expect them to have a bunch of trash. I had on one sale, the seller left like 3 huge contractor bags full of trash, and the trash wasn't coming until like Thursday, and it was Saturday. I'm like, I had to put them in my vehicle and get rid of them from my client, but, you know, try to keep that from happening. My next stop, again, you are checking every blank, answering every question, but my checkpoints are because I stop because they're a problem for you guys, okay? It doesn't mean that I don't look at, say, number 10 or number 9. I do look at everything. I'm stopping and pointing out to you the common mistakes. Okay, special provisions. A lot of you call me and say, well, Adriana, I'm closing tomorrow and the seller's refusing to let me in to do a final walkthrough. Okay, they are supposed to let you in and do reasonable, but if you've looked at the house 15 times, they might be tired of you showing up at their door and having to get dressed because you're coming through, right? So, buyer's inspector shall have access to the property no less than 2 days prior to closing to re-inspect any negotiated repairs. You can change up to 4 days, a week, whatever you want. But that's just something for you to think about, okay? As well as a final walkthrough within 24 hours of closing. So if you get it pinned down on paper, they have to let you in, right? So just something to think about. Closing costs, $1,500. What's my next stop?
7.
No, we already went through 7. Okay.
No, I mean notices.
Oh, page 7, paragraph 21. Okay, this is an everyday battle with you guys. Okay. Paragraph 21, notices. All buyer from one party to the other must be in writing and are effective when mailed to, hand-delivered at, or transmitted by fax or electronic transmission as follows. My policy, my recommendation to you is put the corresponding agent's email addresses up front. You represent the buyer, put your email address. You know who the listing agent is, right? Put their email address. If once you get it to your clients to sign, or the listing agent gets it to their sellers to sign, if they want to add their own info, by all means do so. If they want to change it to something else, by all means do so. But if no one does anything, all you have to do to opt out of this contract is send an email to the listing agent and you're done, right? I do this because this is anything that I tell you to do, there's a reason for it. Something bad happened. We had a listing agent, and his the information on his contract said a mailing address, a physical mailing address, in some other state up north. Okay. Buyer did inspections, went through the inspection period, option period. They saw something they didn't like. They said, we need to cancel. We don't want to play. The buyer gave notice to their agent. Buyer's agent gave notice to the listing agent. The listing agent gave notice, all of this is by email, to the seller. They wanted their earnest money back because they were within the time specified. The seller said, no, you cannot have your money. Why? Why can't I have it? Well, you were supposed to send me a letter at my address in, I don't know, let's say Nebraska. You didn't perform in accordance with the contract. So he refused to give that buyer his earnest money back.
Is that the responsibility of the listing agent or the?
It's everyone's responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility.
So if you're representing a buyer, you should go ahead and bypass the other realtor and send it directly to him.
No, no, I'm not saying that. Okay, you're missing the point here. Okay, the seller was technically contractually correct. It says notices are to be delivered in this fashion. He got the notice in a different channel, through a different channel. So he refused to give the earnest money back because he didn't get the notice by mail in his address at Nebraska. He got an email from the agent. Okay, so to prevent that from happening to you, always use, that's what you guys are involved, right? Agents get paid to do what? Work it. So earn your keep and be involved. Okay, you might hear in some MCE classes tell you, no, don't put your information because then you are responsible. As opposed to, you're not responsible because your information is not on paragraph 21. You are the agent because you have a buyer rep agreement, because you have a listing agreement, and your information is on page 9. So regardless of what you think, you are responsible. You did it, you touched it, you are 100% in the middle of it. So do your job in the easiest possible way. Keep it simple. We're all communicating electronically. So paragraph 21, email addresses of the corresponding agents. Let's talk between agents, by agents, through agents. If the principals want to add more, absolutely they can. Clear as mud? All right, moving on. You can also have an address if you want to. Okay, I'm just telling you what I would do if I were you. And I haven't been in business as long as some of you, but I do get to see a whole lot of stuff. Okay, and that puts me in a position to see a lot of problems that you can learn from, that I've definitely learned from. So that's why I share that with you. Okay, paragraph 22, that's my next stop. If you checked it off here, I'm going to look for it. So pay attention. If you work with templates, check your forms. If you tell me that there is, this should have been checked off. If you tell me that there's an HOA, I'm going to ask you for the HOA. If you tell me that there's a lease back, I'm going to ask you for that lease back. If you tell me anything is a part of this deal, I'm going to ask you for it. So if you made a mistake and now you have to correct it, it's still a binding contract. So if it's a mistake, you need to go back and correct it, whether you do an amendment or you have your client's initial and the listing and the seller's initial, but it has to be corrected because the contract is a binding contract. Yes, ma'am.
So with that, when you check the HOA box, that form that you're just stating about, that we have that form.
Yes. Yes. If it's checked off, I'm going to ask you for it. So if it's a mistake, I'm going to ask you to fix it, whether it's an amendment or show me initials. Okay. I don't take your word for it. I don't take anybody's word for anything.
But now you said now if it's HOA, we have to have form anyway, so that has to be checked out. We have to have form.
Okay. So here, I made a mistake. This property in my scenario is subject to an HOA, so I should have checked this off. Okay, but because it's checked off in the front, it says it isn't an HOA, I'm looking for it. Okay, I forgot to check it off here. Yes, I did. Okay, and that's my mistake, so I would have to fix it. Okay, right? If you tell me it's here, and then you don't have it, say, oh, well, I thought it was, but it really wasn't. Okay, do an amendment. Show me evidence that there was an error, because otherwise we're saying, if I'm buying a computer and you tell me it's an all-in-one, I expect it to be an all-in-one, and then you tell me, oh, well, no, there's no keyboard. Well, what am I supposed to do with this if there's no keyboard, right? So the contract is what the contract is. It is binding. It is what it is. I don't take your word for it. I don't take, if it's an error, you document it. You fix it. Yes,
We don't have to have a mud when, making an offer, because it's a listing.
That's correct. That's correct. The question is, we don't have to have a MUD when we're making an offer. No. When you are making an offer, all you need really is a contract, the HOA form, if it applies, because you want to negotiate. There are some things that cost money that you want to negotiate, and probably your financing addendum. Okay? Termination, if the only thing I have to say about this, if you negotiate it, pay it. Don't send it by mail. Make sure that it gets delivered. Make sure that someone signs for it. Because if you don't prove that you paid it, you have no option. Okay? I don't think there's anything more that we need to say about that. If you are a listing agent, and again, this is paragraph 24. This is where that agent, that buyer, attorney would be listed. If you are a listing agent, buyer comes to you direct and they have an attorney, this is where they would be listed. And look them up, okay? Don't just take, oh yeah, a made up name. Okay? Buyers like to come to you directly because they like to negotiate things. There's a lot of savvy buyers that they think that if they don't have an agent, they automatically get a 3%. And that's not the case. Okay? Don't give in. Okay, we already have a bad rep. People already think that we get paid so much money to do absolutely nothing. They don't value what we do. And if you do this full time, I see you guys out here. Emily's out here. I see this lady in one day at all 4 locations. I can see her at Richmond in the morning. By noon, she's in Katy. She'll make a final pit stop in Sugarland. One day I saw her in all 4 locations. I look at the cameras and I saw her. I'm like, what is she doing? Wasn't she just here this morning? So I know how hard you work. I know how hard my work is, my job is. So don't let them negotiate your money. That's the equivalent of you clocking in every day for a month. And when you get your paycheck, you hand it over to somebody else. Unless you're married to them, no, you shouldn't be handing it over to them. Just saying. I'm looking for the executed date. If the executed date is not there, we have a problem. Okay? So make sure that you get that. Okay. Page 9. The blank is there. I didn't make up the form. Trek did. So they're asking for license numbers. Put it in. Okay? So that's the broker's license number. That's your license number. That's the supervisor license number. Notice that it's not one and the same. 544-462 and 390-784. Ignacio is the supervisor for all of you realtors. I am the supervisor for those of you that are not in the realtor team. If you're not sure, look yourself up on Trek. You find out who's your sponsoring broker and the supervisor. Okay? Make sure that you're using the current address. I see contracts all the time with 2323 South Falls. Okay, we haven't been there for 2 years, so please update it. Okay, the same thing for the listing company. The information is available on Trek, and if you look at the listing on MLS, it says supervisor, Trek license number, designated broker, all of that information is there. Okay, you can also look them up on Trek and find out. All right, so why is it important? Don't leave it blank. They're the ones that are going to pay you. So if you don't know who they are, you're in for it. You're in trouble. Okay? You would never start working for anyone and just show up to work and report and you don't know who the boss is. 2 things you need to know. Where's the bathroom? When do we get paid? And who pays me? Okay? That's what you need to know. So make sure that you fill that out. Don't leave it blank. There's a bunch of Keller Williams. There's a bunch of Century 21s. There's a bunch of Remaxes. Which one of them is going to pay you? Right? So please make sure that it's there. I do look for that. Option fee, make sure that someone signs for that option fee, and make sure that someone signs for that earnest money. Okay. I sell it all, Superstar Broker. Okay. Believe you me when I tell you, they're not going to call you and tell you, hey, by the way, where's that option fee? Because they don't care. They don't want you to back out. Okay. So you'll make sure that it gets there. Okay, non-realty items addendum. For $50, they're going to give me the metal patio furniture under the pergola. It's a 5-piece. Get specific. If it's a double door stainless steel Sub-Zero, okay, because if you say refrigerator, I've seen it happen. They take that double door stainless steel Sub-Zero refrigerator and put a 2-door white Sears brand refrigerator. You said refrigerator, right? Okay, so get specific, model numbers, especially if it's fancy. All right. Anywhere where it says signature, I expect a signature. Anywhere where there's an initial, I expect an initial. And if it says date, guess what? I expect you to date it. Okay. Third-party financing addendum. This is a new form that came out. So in the first section, it wants you to select what kind of loan. Okay. FHA insured loans. It's either 203B. There's a 203K. The 203K means that there's more than $5,000 worth of repairs that need to be done. Not every lender does 203. Okay, so make sure if the property you're looking at needs repairs, that they do the 203K. Okay, don't assume. And then on page 2, make sure. Let me tell you once more. Make sure that you check that off right there and that you put a number of days. Don't put less than 30. Don't put less than 30. If they're financing, don't put less than 30. Even if you have a stellar lender that tells you, oh, I can close it in 5 days. If you know anybody that says, I need in on that, you need to let me know who they are, okay? Even when they tell you 21 days, if they get it done, great. But give yourself 30 days to protect your client, all right? Unless your client's got cash in the bank that they can spend in case they don't get the loan, don't do less than 30. Make sure that you get signatures. And I am looking for signatures to match. Okay, I've had some of you that try to turn in stuff that doesn't match. Yeah, that's why it takes me 5 days to get it back to you, because I do look at everything. Okay, here's my HOA. I don't really care which one you choose. You need to choose something. Okay, as a buyer's agent, number 1 is your best option. Number 3 is your second best option. Number 2 is your third best. And number 4 is your least favorite one. Buyer does not require delivery of the subdivision information. And that should only be the case if your buyer is familiar with the area. Maybe they already live there and they're just downsizing or upgrading, okay? There are rules, so you don't want to go in blind.
Someone was asking about what if it's less than 30 days from the previous paragraph.
Okay, the question is, what about when it states in the MLS requesting less than 30 days? I mean, that's just wishful thinking. They want to close right away. Maybe they have a hurry. Maybe the seller needs to sell quickly because, I don't know, they got bills to pay. Or they're closing on their next home. So maybe that's not the house for you or for your client. Again, I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying you can put 7 days. But you better be stellar, perfect credit, all your ducks are in a row, all your paperwork's already on hand, transcripts from the IRS already ready to go. All you need to do is select the property, okay? Because what happens that if you don't back out of that contract within that number of days, whether it's 7, 15, 14, 21, or 30 days, your earnest money is no longer protected, okay? So with a loan, there's always 2 parts. And you got, this is probably old, but I'm going to go talk about it a little bit anyway. When you get a loan, there's 2 parts to it. There's me as a borrower. Am I good enough? Do I make enough money? Is my income debt ratio good? Do I pay my bills on time? Am I desirable as a borrower? Okay? And that's what the 30 days is for, or the 21 days, for me to prove to my lender that I am good for it. Okay? The other part is the collateral. I may be stellar, but if the property doesn't appraise, the property is not in good condition, livable condition, then no. So me, I get 30 days or 7 days or 15 days or 21 days, whatever number you put on that third-party financing addendum. But the property all the way up until closing, if it doesn't appraise, guess what? As long as you give notice, the property did not appraise on closing day, we're not closing, you get your earnest money back. So again, unless you are stellar and you are perfect, you need at least 30 days, because most lenders today, you know how they work. Do they work on Saturdays? Do they work on Sundays? I've yet to see Tony or Josue at work on Saturday unless they had an appointment. He's back there. I was wondering if he's going to look up. But he might, but the underwriters don't, right? The bank doesn't work. The bank will not fund over the weekend. So people, you are limited. Technically, in a 30-day block, how many work days do you actually have, right? Our days, our Memorial days, our days off are our best days to show because people are off work and we are showing. But is the bank working? No, they are not. So in a 30-day block, you really only have about 18 business days. Okay, so think about those things. Anyways, moving on. Seller disclosure, okay? This comes up all the time. Well, my client never lived in the house, or he's never occupied it. Okay, he can say, I never occupied it. I don't live there now. I've never occupied it. And everything he can say, I don't know. Okay? Okay, I'm going to stop here. Section 7. Within the past 4 years, have you, seller, it says particularly you, seller, received any written inspection reports from persons who regularly provide inspections, that means an inspector, and who are either licensed as inspectors or otherwise permitted by law to perform inspections? Okay, so does that mean that if I'm the listing agent and Ruby submitted an offer through her agent last month and she did an inspection and we couldn't come to terms with repairs and she passed on it and I put it back on the market, that now you and your agent, you and your buyer have access to that inspection report?
Yes.
No. No. Okay. I've never looked at that inspection report. That's for the buyer. She can ask me for repairs. So as a listing agent, I don't take inspection reports unless she tells me, yes, you can keep it and you can share it with other people. And I want that in writing. Okay.
Sure.
I don't want to know how long are inspection reports on average. Okay, that's exaggerating. But they're, 20 pages plus. I've seen some that are 54 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, they're quite big. Do you remember all that information? No, you don't. I don't want to be responsible for all of that. So you know what? I don't care. Tell me what you want. I'll ask my seller, and if my seller wants to make the repairs, I will let you know. Okay, material facts, if you tell me there's foundation problems, yes, I would go and update my seller's disclosure and tell you, apparently there's foundation problems, apparently there's a leak, apparently there's this or that. But I don't want to know every little thing. Not because I'm trying to hide it, it's because my mind cannot retain all of that information. So for that reason, it says, have you, the seller, received an inspection report from an inspector? No, I got that from a third party. The inspector, even the inspection report say, this is for the exclusive use of the buyer who bought it. Okay, it's not free information. Ruby, as a buyer, how do you feel about his buyer benefiting from that inspection report that you paid $300 for? Are you okay with that? No. They're not okay. She's not okay with that. Okay, so unless you get written authorization to share that inspection report, no. My answer to you asking, well, I know that an inspection was done because the buyer did an inspection. I know it was done. Well, yeah, it was done, but it's hers. She didn't give it to me. I'm not free to share. The only thing I can tell you is that I did update my seller's disclosure, and she did report that there was some foundation problems.
So even if the buyer did share a copy of that with you as a seller, you're not obligated?
Well, if she shared it with me and she authorized me to share it, then yes, by all means, here you go. Okay, but if she didn't, then no. So you're going to get that all the time. You're going to get those agents who try to freebie inspection reports. Okay, so as a listing agent, don't take reports unless you have authorization to share that. Okay, now, if she had bought it and now she comes back to me and she wants to sell it, have you, seller, received an inspection report from an inspector? The answer is yes. And you have to attach that inspection report to any subsequent buyers. Okay, my English is not very good looking, but it's good enough to understand what this says. Okay, moving on. I'm looking for signatures, and see right here it says date. So a lot of you don't put dates. The listing agents don't put dates. Make sure you ask for it. Especially, this is especially important right now. In the last month, we've had terrible storms. We've had flooding in areas where it had never flooded before. So back when we took the listing in, say, April, we were good. Or March, we were good. But then we're not good anymore. So I need that seller to update that seller's disclosure. Okay, so that's when the date is important. Okay, if you're giving me the information as of March and I'm buying right now, no, I think you need to go back and recheck it. Did it flood? Is there anything new that you need to tell me about? Okay, so that's why it's important. The same thing for the buyer. I'm looking for signatures and dates. Okay, addendum for seller's disclosure. In my scenario, this property is older than 1978. Okay, so I need the addendum for seller's disclosure of information. I've had some of you give me the addendum for lead-based paint, but the one that goes with rentals. Okay, so how do you tell the difference? It tells you in the title. This is seller's addendum for seller's disclosure. So don't use this for your rentals, and vice versa. Don't use the one for rentals for sales. Okay, the other one for rentals, it tells you not to be used for sales. Okay. Signatures and dates of the buyer, the seller, and the brokers. Right here, the brokers also, or the listing agent and selling agent also have to sign. Okay. All right. In my scenario, this was in an HOA. So this is the HOA information. This is, I'm sorry, the mud. Thank you, Ruby. I don't even know what I say anymore. Okay. Everybody knows how to get the mud information, yes? Raise your hand if you don't. Okay, thank you for being honest. I'll show you where to get it. So I highlighted the information just in case the listing agent didn't know how to get it and they just gave me some bogus information just to cross-reference. But the agent was good and she did give it to me. Okay, it's in Harris County. That's the rate, 250, 250. Inside the municipality. It's in Houston, the legal description, signature, and date. Okay, an amendment, we changed the price from $215 to $220. Why do you ask? Because I needed some help with closing costs. So we increased the price and we increased the contribution from them from $1,500 to $6,000. I'm looking for executed dates and I'm looking for signatures on any amendments. Information about broker services. Okay, guys. I'm not going to say no names because he might be watching. David. I won't say his last name. I really won't. David made me so upset he almost had me in tears. And those of you that have known me for a while, you know that it takes, I may be hard and I'm tough and I don't bend, but people don't usually bring me to the point of I want to cry because I'm so angry because I really wanted to reach to the phone and touch him. I really did. Not really, David, but for real. I really hope he's not watching. But if he is, it's the truth. This sample is on the website under forms. Okay? The license, we usually email it to you as well. If your form is not right, we email it to you, refer to my form. Okay? So the firm name, Champions Real Estate Group, or Champions RE Group if you're in my team. The license number for the firm is right here. Okay? The email address, craigBroker@craig1.com. If you're in my team, it'll be rebroker@craig1.com. The office number, 713-785-6666. If you're in my team, it's 847-6666. The designated broker of the firm is not one and the same, okay? The designated broker for the realtor team is Ignacio, and the license number is different, okay? Email address can be the same. The phone number can be the same. The licensed supervisor in our company, the broker of record is a supervisor, okay? In other companies where they work with teams, they may have a different assigned supervisor. For us, we don't, okay? So you will duplicate line 2, just the same on line 3. Line 4 is your information, okay? Your license number, your email, your phone number, and then at the bottom, your client initials and signs, okay? Don't tell me, if I tell you, if one of my team members tells you it's incomplete, something is missing. If one of my team members tells you it's wrong, trust me, it's wrong. I do this every day, all day. I have it memorized. So when I see it, I know it's not right. Okay? I didn't make up the form. Believe you me, if it would have been up to me, if they would have asked me to vote, I would have voted to keep the old one. Okay? But they want it separately. Why? Accountability. They want to hem up everyone. They want your mom, your dad, your granddaddy, your attorney. They want everybody. So if something is wrong, they want to know everybody who had a hand in it. Okay? That's why. No other reason. Me, I don't care. The only thing I care about is that Trek says I must do it, and therefore I do. Okay? I've been working with the government since I was 17 years old, in one way or another. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to mess with them. I don't like to be on their bad side. So if they say I do, then I do. Okay? And you should be the same. Okay? Thank you. General information and notice to buyer. Fill that information in at the top. How can you send it by email? Okay, I'm going to come back to that. Remind me to come back about the IUPS notice. Okay, on the name goes at the top of every page. On the last page, you sign it and they sign it. If they don't sign, if you don't sign it, I'm going to kick it back. If they don't sign it, I'm going to kick it back. Okay, so it's a two-party agreement, two-party form. Both of you need to sign it. For your protection, get a home inspection. There are two forms. This is TAR 1928, and the next one is TAR 2506. I'm going to leave it in the middle because I don't care which form you use. To me, it's one and the same. As long as this form, notice that it doesn't have a place for them to sign. As long as they sign off, initial something, scribble on it, acknowledge that they did it, I'm okay with it. All right. This one, I like it because it's specific. It says, just like when it's an emergency, you don't want somebody call 911. No, I'm going to say you call 911. If I tell you, you call 911, are you going to say no? No. Exactly. Okay. If I say somebody, all of you are thinking, well, probably the guy at the front is going to call 911. He's got a phone in his hand. Okay. So don't leave it to chance. For your protection, get a home inspection. It's direct. It calls that buyer to action. Okay. The next form is telling them we recommend that you do it, and you can either choose to hire or not an inspector. It's more passive. It's up to you. It's a choice, not a call to action. Again, I don't care which one you use. If it's a HUD situation, they want this form. You must use this form. Anybody else? They're okay with this form.
Yes. For the TAR 1506, we've seen that it has addresses, and we educate to put the buyer's name.
Okay, on TAR 1506, general information and notice to buyer, we've seen some agents actually put in an address in that section. I don't recommend that you do that. Put the buyer's name. Why? Because this is something you do up front. When you're talking to them and introducing them to the home buying experience and the whole thing about buying a house and what you should do and things that you should think about and consider, they don't know what house they're buying just yet. Okay, so you can use that same form no matter what house they buy. So use the name, and if you fill it out in zip forms, it asks you for their name, not an address. Yes, ma'am.
When you have an assigned intermediary,
Mm-hmm.
who signs that form? The selling or the teller or the intermediary?
The listing agent, or it doesn't really matter. Okay, at the end of the day, this is coming from at the broker level. Buyer, you're buying this house. Be aware of these things, and what we're looking for is that they acknowledge that they received it. So the listing agent can sign it. It's perfectly okay because you're not talking to them. You're simply giving them, here you go. Buyer beware, you're on your own. Okay? All right. Again, 1928 or in 2506 are interchangeable. I don't care which one you use as long as you use one. Now, the TILA form. If you are using the financing addendum, the last paragraph authorizes the title company to give us a copy of the settlement statement. So I will not ask you for this. And if I do, it's probably just a brain cramp. Okay? If you're using a seller financing addendum, or it's a new home where the lender is the builder's lender, or if it's a cash deal, anything other than the third-party financing addendum, I will ask you to do this form. Okay? The only reason I use it is because I want a guarantee that I'm going to get the settlement statement. With the new rules, and as we transition with the new rules as to how much information the title company can give me, I'm looking for confirmation. Settlement statement copy is a confirmation for me that the deal closed. And if the deal closed, I 1099 you for it, and I'm looking for that money to be paid to you and to me. Okay? If I don't get a settlement statement, I don't assume that it's closed. It could be a bust out. It could be, you know, some type of other problem. All right? So that's why I want that. That guarantees that I can call the title company and say, hey, I approved the CDA for this transaction 3 weeks ago. I haven't got paid. What's going on? And now they can talk to me and they can tell me, or they can send me a copy of the settlement statement. Okay? And that is the end of the packet. So if all of these things are there, if it's subject to a MUD, I need the MUD. If it's subject to an HOA, I need the HOA form. If it's older than 1978, I need the lead-based addendum. If it's subject to a leaseback, I need the leaseback agreement. If it's on the contract, I need it. I need it signed, initialed, dated, all blanks, answered all questions, answered all issues, addressed. And if you give me that, I will give you an approved CDA. Yes, ma'am.
So that, the last one that you just had up, you said,
Uh-huh.
you need that whatever, all the contracts except the one that has the third party in it.
Correct. Yes. I need a guarantee that I'm going to get the settlement statement. The third-party financing addendum covers that. If you're not using that form as part of your contract, then I need this one instead. Okay, so I put it here even though we do have a third-party financing addendum for training purposes. I wanted that included.
What's the number on that?
TILA 2516, TAR 2516. Okay. Now, any questions? If anybody needs to like run to the restroom, by all means, go ahead. You might miss very important information that will never repeat again. I'm just kidding. Oh. I'm going to show you, and I gotta go. I'm going to show you the waiver. Going back to the seller's disclosure. If your buyer wants to buy the property, no matter what, have the buyer sign that form. Okay. This was prepared by an attorney. Okay. So it's not my form. An attorney prepared it and he shared it with me. Okay. And so I'm sharing it with you. And that's just to kind of cover you up. So I will ask you if you're not going to comply with the Texas Property Code, and I live in the state of Texas, so I obey. But if my buyer is insisting on not, that's the form that I would ask you for. Okay, and you will get this as part of your training packet. Let's see. And this is my checklist that Ruby kicked it back to me. I turned in my packet and she kicked it back to me. She said I was missing my MUD notice and I was missing an amendment to show my contract said $215,000, but the CDA that I turned in said $220,000. So which is it? So contrary to what some of you may think, I do look at the price. So don't tell me that your price is $215 and then do a CDA that says $220. So based on that, she asked me for an amendment and she kicked it back. My IBS was missing altogether, so she kicked it back. And once I fixed those things, she said okay, and she said okay to approve, and then I got an approved CDA. Okay, so that's the process. So realistically, or the goal here is for you guys to have everything right. So on first review, boom, we approve it. You might even get it back the same day. But when I'm fussing back and forth with you guys when something is missing, it can take up to 5 days. Okay, contrary to what some of you might think, you're not the only agent, Allison. There's 2,000 of you. Now, granted, about half of you don't do anything, but that's okay. That's still 1,000 of you that are doing stuff. And just to kind of put things in perspective, I count the number of CDAs that we are approving. In March, we did 300. In April, we had February was 300, then we had 350, then we had 450. Okay, that's approved CDAs. Not talking about those of you who don't care and you guys get paid after the fact. Okay, now, if you're one of those that gets a whole check delivered to Champions and then you get paid after the fact, you're still going to have to satisfy all of these things. So don't think for a minute that, let me just wait and then they'll pay me. No. Ms. Hernandez is even tougher than I am. Okay. So not that she's being mean, she's just going by my list and there is no bending. So if there's something that requires bending, she's going to refer it back to me. So you don't want to have to need bending, because if you're bending, you're at the end of my list, and my list is very long. So just to do things right from the get-go. If you have questions, call me, ask. Call Ignacio and ask. Don't ask Facebook, okay? Don't ask Facebook. You can ask Facebook for general things, but don't ask legal questions and like contractual questions in Facebook. You can ask, hey, anybody know a good contractor? That's cool. Anybody know a good photographer? That's cool. But don't ask stuff that your broker should be answering on Facebook, okay? Just because.
Can you go over the financing agreement? Some people are asking why sometimes we ask for it when they have the addendum, and then I'm trying to explain that there's a paragraph that covers it. The one that you showed us. Oh, yeah.
About the telephone?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, why do we sometimes ask for the teleform and sometimes we don't? Okay. Okay, this is not really working. Okay, that's going to have to satisfy right there. It's going to have to do. Authorization to release information. If you're using the third-party financing addendum, there it is, last paragraph. Buyer authorizes buyer's lender to furnish to seller or buyer or their representatives information relating to the status of the approval for financing. Okay? Seller and buyer authorize buyer's lender, title company, and escrow agent to disclose and furnish a copy of the closing disclosures provided in relation to the closing of the sale to the parties, respective brokers and sales agents identified on the last page of the contract. So if you're using this, that means I can call the title company and get a copy of the settlement statement. Okay? If you're not using this, I have no authority. I don't have that granted permission. So I ask you for the teleform, the TAR 2516. Who would sign it? Whoever you represent, whether it's the buyer or the seller. There's a checkbox for that. Okay? Clear as mud now? Clear as mud. All right. We're going to go into the mud training. Okay, I will be right back. I need to get some water. Can somebody throw me a water? I don't want to fly over these guys. This light is like hot. Thank you so much. Oh, that looks terrible. How come you guys didn't say anything? Is it mine? Don't answer that.
The previous one.
Okay, it's recorded though. So. Okay. All right. So, how to get the mud information? You're going to go into HAR. Okay. When you log in, this is what it looks like, right? So you're going to click Enter Tempo MLS. Once you're in here, this is what it looks like, right? So you're going to go into this little tax. When you put your mouse over that, it looks like this. It says Realist and Mud
Information.
Mud information. Okay? And from there, you're going to go ahead and click on where it says Mud information, and the next thing that pops up is this. It used to be that you used to get all the information back in the day, right? Those of you that are veterans of the real estate business, when we used to get the information from Stuart Title, Stuart gave us all the information. Well, no more. Okay, so now you have to go. There are 22 pages, as you can see here, 22 pages, and you're going to have to sift through and find the mud district. Your client's going to have to tell you what mud they're in. And if you look them up under Realist, if you were to go back and click on Realist, it'll tell you which mud district they're in. It doesn't give you the info as to how much they pay, but it does identify the mud district that they are in, okay? And so you'll sift through until you find it. I found mine right here. So I printed that page, which is the one that was in my sample packet. I print that out for my client's information. Whether the listing agent gives me the right info or not, I'm cross-referencing and I'm making sure that my client has the most current information. And right here, it gives you a date. This is current as of February 12th, 2016. That's the last time that they updated this.
What about for urban areas like Galveston?
Have they, okay. Can you also do the same for Galveston County mud? I would assume that Galveston MLS, they do have a separate MLS, that they would have something similar to this. Okay, so I don't know. I didn't look at the whole list. I do have a whole list, and we can see if Galveston is listed on here. But again, I would think that Galveston MLS has a similar system for you to find this information. It is? It's on here? So someone just told me that it's on this list. There's 22 pages. Galveston County parts are in here as well. Page 7. Thank you. Hi, you guys are such good helpers. Okay. If you go back to MLS and you take a look, you have my sidebar. Has anybody ever opened that up? No? You should try it sometime. It's really cool. It has information that's very helpful. If you click on that sidebar, this will open up. So we're looking at the red one says water district notices clear as mud. That's where I get my famous clear as mud all the time. Okay. You also have an ETJ and city limits map, and you get mud and annexation notices. This information is important. Water district notices, this is the old way. And I know you really can't see it, but I'm going to tell you kind of what it says. Before this year, there used to be 3 forms. HAR form 400A, B, and C, right? And which form you use really depended on where the property was located. Well, now all of that is combined into one form. You still need to know the information, but that's really what this really is talking about. So you can take a look at that at your leisure. This is the map. Can you guys make out the colors? Can you hit that light switch, see if it's darker? Okay, it doesn't really help it. Can't close the windows. Okay, but if you are looking online, this is pink, this is peach, and this is tan. Generally speaking, if you were in the pink area, you use Form A. If you were in the peach area, you use Form B. If you were in the tan area, you use Form C. Okay, so pink was A, peach was B, and tan was C, right? And all that means is that the pink is usually a municipality. The peach is usually a municipality's ETJ, extraterritorial jurisdiction. That means area that's not controlled by that municipality, but that it could be taken over and taxed. Okay, and the last one is an area beyond, it's outside the municipality and beyond the area that can be taken over by a municipality. I know it's still kind of, so now it's all one form, absolutely, okay? It's 400, it's just plain 400 now, okay? This one, I'm gonna go through it very quickly so you can look at it because this really goes into detail of what I just went over in a very condensed, very simplified way. This goes paragraph 6 talks about it tells you that this information must be given to you before you execute a contract, okay? The water code, everything prior to execution. The seller shall deliver the notice to the purchaser before the date of the execution, okay? Why? Because a mud district can be expensive, okay? So here's your forms. Form A, B, and C, it is now combined all into one, okay? And this is what the form used to look like, okay? That's Form B and Form C. Finding the information. It tells you exactly my sidebar, where to get it. That's what the map looks like, okay? And if you zoom in, that map that it's an interactive map, you can actually zoom in and see down like this. Okay, so this is Tomball and this is Houston ETJ. So that's how you kind of figure out what it goes to. So if your property is right here, it's not pink, right? It's peach. And you would be using Form B under the old system because it's in the Houston ETJ. You're with me? So it's really going to vary. I can't really give you a pinpointed example. If the property was in here, you would have used Form A. I still refer to Form A, B, and C because it's going to make sense once I show you the last form. If it's in here, it's Form A. If it's here, it's Houston ETJ. And if it's here, it's beyond anybody's jurisdiction. So you would have used Form C. This is kind of an example of, kind of broken down how things work. Some more sample area of the Southeast. Completing the form. Okay. This is how it used to look. We used to get all the cool information all right here, bonds issued, bonds authorized, all of that good information was right here. No more. Okay. But what this does for you is it identifies the district, that's blank number 1. The tax rate is blank number 2. Bonds issued is blank number 4 and number 5. Okay. This just helps us to ID the information and where the information goes. So the difference in the form now is that now you still have to do all of this. It's one single form and it has 3 sections. It has paragraph A, B, and C. If it's within the municipality, you cross A. If it's in the municipality's ETJ, you put an X on paragraph B. If it's beyond, you put an X on paragraph C. That's it. It's much simpler now. You don't have to figure out which form. Again, this tells you completing the form. It's located in what district? What is the rate? 2 and 3 is one or the other. Okay, the first one is if you know what the tax rate is for the current year, you put it in number 2. If you don't have that number, in my example, the date is 2015, so we don't have it for the current year. So my information is going to go on number 3 because I'm estimating it based on my last published rate. Everybody with me? Yes? Excellent. Bonds issued and bonds authorized. Okay, so in every MUD, you're authorized to spend, let's say, $250,000. Let's just put a number. It's usually in the millions, but let's just say it's $250,000. That's what you're authorized. That's your budget. Okay, and they tell you so far we've actually used or authorized, actually spent 200. That's the difference. Okay, authorized is so much and issued so much. Okay. The standby fee, there is no database that you can reach and get that standby fee. The really only sure way for you to get that is to call that MUD district and say, do you have a standby fee? And they'll tell you, yes, we do. And they'll tell you, if you get them on the phone, of course, and they'll tell you how much. Okay? Sometimes they'll tell you, yeah, we have a number, but for me to tell you, you have to pay a fee. Okay? So most of the time, people leave it blank, but just so you know. What was the question?
Just the IBS notice email.
Oh, yes, not yet. We'll come back to that. Okay. In the city, okay, that's number 7. Legal description, okay. Just go through it, okay. It kind of breaks it down for you. Training sample. I think we covered everything. We still have 10 minutes. Yes. Make sure that you sign in on the list because everybody who signs in there, you're going to get that packet. Okay.
How quickly?
Say again?
That'll be sent today.
Yes, it's going to be sent today. Okay, some of you have already received it, apparently. Okay, so yes, it's going out to you today. If you want to see what the new form looks like, maybe I can show it to you.
Oh, sorry. We're doing the 10 days after, right?
Yes. Forms manager. Form manager. Okay. You go through form manager. Okay, so they still have it published A, B, and C, but the newest form. Okay. Okay, so based on my example, if we would follow along with me, the real property described is in the Harris County Flood Control District. Oh yeah, we can't fill it in. So that would be blank number 1. Okay. The next one is blank number 2 and number 3, the rate. The rate is 0.073. And I'm going to use the second blank because my date is 2015. Because I don't have the current one, I have to use the second one. And so if you actually read it, it's this, as of this date, the rate is whatever. If the district has not yet levied taxes, the most recent projected rate of tax as of this date is whatever we last knew. Okay, so you will not do both. I get forms all the time that have the same rate on both. Since they're not sure, they do one or the other. They do both instead of one or the other. Okay. My next blank has to do with, and what I do to help me remember the total amount of bonds issued. Keyboard right here, it says issued. Okay. It's going to be 250,000. And then the aggregate, okay, that's the total that has been spent, is going to be again 250. Okay. That's your next blank. Okay. The standby fee, we said that we were going to leave it blank unless we actually call that mud district. We actually call that mud district. We would have an answer possibly. Okay. And then here's where we actually answer the question. This is A, B, or C. Mark an X if it's inside the municipality, the corporate boundaries of the municipality. If it was inside Houston ETJ, they would say A. In my case, yes, it's inside Houston ETJ. If it's part of the, if it's inside the city of Katy, city of Rosen, or whatever, this one. If it's in the area that is, what do you call it? Annexable, I guess is the word. By that ETJ, you would check this one. And if it's beyond that, you would check this one.
So that's the pink peach.
Yes, pink, peach, and tan, absolutely. For me, that's what, it was the simplest way to find it. So I just open up the interactive map, I pinpoint my property, and that's how I used to pick the form. Okay? And then what city is it in? And then the legal description, signature of the buyer and seller with a date. Okay, so now you know where to get the information. So I've had people send me straight up blank forms. Signed, absolutely, but blank. Okay, you laugh. It stopped being funny to me a while ago. Okay, so we only have about 5 minutes. We've actually completed everything that I needed to cover with you guys. If you have questions, feel free to ask away. If you're done, if you don't need anything else, you don't need to know anything else from me because you're super smart and you know everything, you feel free to go. Thank you for coming out. Yes, sir. Oh, somebody asked about the IEBS before you guys go. The IEBS, okay. The information about broker services, you can send it as an attachment, completely filled out. If you're going to send it by email, okay, I'm going to ask you for it to be signed. I want you to go the extra mile, get a signature. Okay, Truck does allow for you to send it within the body of an email. and that will satisfy the requirement for you to present the information at the time that you do a first significant contact about a particular property. Okay, but if you're going to send it by email, I noticed that a lot of you have at the bottom of your signature block, Texas law requires blah, 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 and click on this link. That doesn't do. Part of it, the IBS disclosure as part of a signature block, generally is not good enough. It has to be within the body, and you have to address, dear buyer, dear seller, dear landlord, dear whatever. I am attaching. The purpose of this email is to present you with this IBS. You have to specifically address it. Okay? You have to say it's an attachment for this, or it has to be within the body. It's not every conversation that you have. Generally, it's catch all. Okay? That doesn't work. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Is my English conveying properly? Okay? It has to be by email with the purpose of giving the IBS information. You had a question?
Yeah, maybe I stepped out while you were reviewing this, but on the CDA at closing, is there a separate one where you can receive your check as an agent and then send the other check to the sponsoring the program?
That's what the CDA does.
Okay,
It splits it up. I authorize the title company to give me $150 and the rest to you at
okay,
closing.
I missed that part. I didn't know if it was inclusive of one and
Yes.
separates the two.
Yes, that's what the CDA, that's the purpose of the CDA. So if the deal's already closed, don't send me a CDA. There's no point in it. Okay? The CDA, keep in mind, guys, that the CDA, give me the full 5 working days, just in case bad weather, I lose internet, I get sick, I break my leg, whatever, and I don't come to work for 1 day or 2. Okay? Give me 5 working days. There is an optional fee if you forgot to do it, didn't want to do it, and you're closing tomorrow and you're turning in your documents to me today. I could probably make it happen, but I am going to charge you a rush fee because it's not fair for me to put you ahead of the line without consequence. No, don't call me and ask me if I can split the fee with you. No, do not call me and ask me, can I waive the fee for you because, Adriana, you don't need the $50. Don't do it. If you can't hear and you're out there and you did this to me and you're listening, people are laughing. Okay, there is an option, okay? For those of you that don't want to use SureClose, don't know how to use it, can't figure it out for the life of you, we do have an optional filing service. You still have to have a completable file, an approvable file. Everything has to be initial, dated, signed, all the works. But you just email the documents. I still need time to get it done, okay? But you can email it in and we'll do everything for you. We'll even prepare the CDA for you, okay? There is a filing fee, rush fee and filing fee. Okay, I'm not trying to charge you more. I'm not trying to nickel and dime you. I'm trying to give you options. Okay, you are here because you are an independent agent. You are here because you are self-sufficient, and you like the fact that you get paid most of the money because you do most of the work. You do most of the work, you get paid most of the money. But if you want me to help you, I am a very expensive secretary. I'm good at everything I do. I can clean. I can't cook. I can make a really good salsa. I can dance salsa pretty good too. But I am expensive when it comes to filing, okay? So you don't want to pay the fee, you don't have to do your work, but if you don't want to, I'll be happy to do it for you, $50 fee, okay? Question?
For INDS, I received contracts or offers on properties that where the person's initials, the buyer's initials are typewritten in. Is that acceptable?
It looks like that when they use ZipLogics, the signature, so it does look like that. DocuSign usually certifies it with like a signature, date, some type of little stamp of approval, so to speak. Yes, ma'am.
This form here was waterproof. I know you said that you've given us the example, but do you have like where what's supposed to be filled in, like is it highlighted or something so we know what blanks for sure that we need to
Yes, it was part of the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's marked. It labels that this is box number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
Oh.
Yes. Other questions? All right. Any questions online?
No, someone asked about the podcast though.
The podcast.
Apparently it was being advertised. It's going to be
I don't know that there is a podcast, but I will check with my IT guy, and once I figure it out, I will put it out. This training, I don't think this training was recorded, but it was. Okay, it was. I'll get back to you, everybody who signed up, or we'll send it out to everyone for the podcast. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop it.
All right, thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it.
And most of, what document you use for commercial? I'm a commercial, most of it.
Okay.
What document you need, it's all of them, residential.
Okay. If it's a part of the contract, I need it. Okay. So, for example, for commercial contract, you're not going to have a set of disclosure. You might have a property condition form.
Yeah, because they say,
So you just kind of translate it into commercial. It's nothing special. Okay.
the same document you use for commercial too, just telling me.
They're not the same documents. It's a different contract. But a lot of the things won't apply. Like the HOA doesn't apply to a commercial.
No, that's HOA, no. Can you send me, I have several closing with you. I don't have a document, I submit all documents.
Okay. Your checklist, I still go through it. Okay.
Okay,
So if you use this checklist, Ibrahim,
yes,
this is you, Ibrahim?
yes,
Okay, I recognize your voice.
yeah.
That's scary.
You scared me too. So tough. One time I was thinking to go, just,
I know,
Yes, come on.
I know you were. I'm
now,
glad you're still here.
yeah,
Um,
now I figured out you are.
Basically-
Okay.
Basically, your contracts, if I look at still, you know how I looked at paragraph 24, anything that had attachments,
No, I
if you
know.
check it off, I need it. I'm gonna need your standard IABS, general information and notice to buy, and then your contract. Make sure everything's dated, initial. That's essentially it.
Second question, I have a contract, not the trade one. There's a review by the seller.
Okay.
Maybe he's attending. Do you accept it or
Yes.
whatever?
As long as it has two parties, there's key ingredients for a contract, okay? What are you agreeing to? What's the price? And you have parties, right? So,
Now you're going to be okay. I have several contracts coming. I hold it because.
right,
you
as
can-
long as you didn't draft the contract, I'm good,
Okay.
okay? Unless you're an attorney. If you're an attorney, then you can draft away, okay? But we like to use standard forms unless they are prepared by an attorney. Even the principals can come up with their own contract, but you're looking for key ingredients. What am I buying, legal description, how much am I gonna pay for it? The standard things. I had somebody turn in a contract and basically it was a receipt for a down payment. Like, okay, well, what property is being conveyed, by when are they going to do it, and what is the price? None of that was included. All that I had proof was that the buyer paid X amount of money to the seller. That's all it was. So don't do that. Okay, good to see you. Hi.
Nice to meet you. I just did this my first month. Okay. And I went to my in-house training and all this. I'm trying to get a few circle right. Okay. I sent my, I was supposed to meet for the client on Friday. So I sent her a package and a listing package and it stated the 13th. Then I would have met Monday. So Sunday I met her, which was the 15th. And I sent her their revised it. She signed the one for the 13th. Okay. So then I signed the one again. I said, when you sign one for 13th, I need you to do the one for 15th. Even though she signed on the 16th, I put it on MLS on the 15th, which is Sunday. Is that correct? Am I going to get like 5 girls? I'm going to get fines for everything. That's my question. You understand what I'm asking?
A listing agreement.
The listing.
She signed the listing agreement.
Yesterday, because she was supposed to sign it, you know, on the 15th, which I said on the 15th. She
Okay,
signed
let
it.
me clarify for you. Okay. A listing agreement, I don't. They can sign it whenever. Okay, doesn't really matter. The important thing is that you don't put it on MLS unless you have the written authorization to list it. Okay, so stick your head in the ground and because they're coming for you. But that's really the key, okay? Why? Because what if she never signed it? You put it on MLS and then I came tomorrow and I made you a full price offer. Why aren't you selling it to me? Okay, so you have no authority. You are committing yourself to doing something, to pay a commission, right? So don't ever put something on MLS unless you have written authorization from the owner to sell it. Okay? You have it, one day delay, I don't think anything bad's gonna happen, but don't do it again. Okay?
All right, and you do it online. Yes, my listing too.
You don't have to have it up front, but you need to know how to get it because the minute you get an offer before they execute, you have to present that. Okay? All right, you're welcome.